Everybody knows the Parthenon, right? The giant ancient Greek temple in the center of Athens, dedicated to the goddess Athena. Well, most people don't know about the Temple of Artemis, and that's a damn shame, so let's talk about it. So, the Temple of Artemis, also known as the Temple of Diana to the Romans, was a large ancient Greek temple dedicated to the goddess Artemis, the goddess of the hunt and the twin sister of Apollo, which was centered in the ancient Greek city of Ephesus in modern Turkey. First, let's get this out of the way. What is an ancient Greek city doing in the middle of Turkey? Well, most people often think of the ancient Greek world as being centered around the modern country of Greece. And while that is somewhat true, there's also an entire Greek world that at one time extended far beyond the reaches of the Aegean. In fact, the ancient Greek world included not just Greece, but also much of coastal Anatolia, southern Italy, and Sicily, which was called Magna Graecia by the Romans, literally meaning Great Greece, as well as parts of modern Spain, Egypt, France, as far north as Crimea in modern Ukraine, and as far east as the Indus River Valley in modern Pakistan and India after the conquest of Alexander the Great. Back to the Temple of Artemis. So, the temple is so old that we don't have accurate records about when it was first built, but we think that it may have been around 550 BC or about 2,575 years ago. So it was made primarily out of marble and featured a prominent dipteros design, or a double colonnade, with over 120 different columns that were sculpted and very likely gilded. Now, all of these different columns surrounded the central cella, or the inner sanctum, which housed the cult statue of Artemis. Now, cult statues are essentially these incredibly important statues that were considered the physical representation of the god or goddess themselves. Now, the temple very likely would have been painted from head to toe in vibrant colors. In fact, most ancient Greek and Roman temples and statues were heavily painted, but the paint simply faded away over time. At the time it was built, the Temple of Artemis was one of the largest in the ancient world, being roughly 3 to 4 times larger than the Parthenon in Athens. It was considered an ancient wonder of the world and was destroyed at least 4 times across its long history. First by a flood in the 7th century CE, the second by arson by a Greek man named Herostratus in 365 BCE, and then by the Goths in 262 CE. Each time it was rebuilt until it was destroyed for good by a Christian mob in the year 401. However, some ancient sources claim that it was destroyed as many as 7 times, but that is reputed. Today, very little remains of this once breathtaking building, with only a few scattered ruins remaining. However, its cultural and architectural legacy remains long-lasting, with it influencing the designs of countless buildings throughout the ancient and modern worlds, including the nearby Basilica of St. John and the Isa Bey Mosque, and some of its green marble columns were even incorporated into the Hagia Sophia in Constantinople after its destruction, which you can still see to this day.